Dr. C. Chandralekha, Assistant Professor and Head, Department of BCA and IT, AJK College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. Today we are going to see about computer networks. Computer networks, it is a collection of autonomous computers interconnected by a single technology. Two computers are said to be interconnected if they are able to exchange information. The connection may be wired or wireless. Networks come in many sizes, shapes and forms. We have several examples of computer networks. Some of them are local area networks, which we call it as LAN, metropolitan area networks, which is called as MAN, wide area networks, WAN, WAN, and home networks. Now we are going to see about the network hardware. This network hardware deals with technical issues involved in network design. There are two general dimensions into which all computer networks fit. They are transmission technology and scale. That when we are dealing with the transmission technology, there are two types of transmission technology. The first one is the broadcast links and the second one is the point-to-point links. So when we see about the broadcast links, it have a single communication channel that is shared by all the machines on the network. Short messages called packets sent by any machine or received by all the other. An address field within the packet specifies the intended recipient. Upon receiving a packet, the machine checks the address field. If the packet is intended for the receiving machine, that machine processes the packet. If the packet is intended for some other machine, it is just ignored. So next we are going to see about the broadcasting technique. Broadcast systems generally allow the possibility of addressing a packet to all destinations by using a special code in the address field. When a packet with this code is transmitted, it is received and processed by each and every machine in the network. Next we are going to see about the technique of multicasting. Some broadcast systems also support transmission to a subset of machines, which is known as multicasting. A bit is reserved to indicate multicasting, that is, it holds the group number. Each machine can subscribe to any groups. When a packet is sent to a certain group, it is delivered to all the machines subscribed to that group. Next we are going to see about point-to-point links. This network consists of many connections between individual pairs of machines. To go from source to the destination, a packet on this type of network may have to first visit one or more intermediate machines. Point-to-point transmission with one sender and one receiver is called unicasting. Next we are going to see about the local area networks, which we call it as the LAN. It is a privately owned networks within a single building or campus of up to a few kilometers. They are widely used to connect personal computers and workstations in company offices to share resources like printers and exchange information. LANs are distinguished from other kinds of networks by three characteristics. They are size, transmission technology and topology. LANs are restricted in size, that is, the worst case transmission time is bounded and known in advance. It also simplifies network management. LANs uses a transmission technology consisting of a cable to which all machines are attached, like the telephone company party lines once used in rural areas. Traditional LANs run at the speeds of 10 Mbps, have lower delay like microseconds or nanoseconds and make very few errors. Various topologies available for broadcast LANs are bus and ring. In a bus network, at any instant, at most one machine is the master and is allowed to transmit and all other machines are stopped from sending. An arbitration mechanism is needed to resolve conflicts when two or more machines want to transmit simultaneously. The arbitration mechanism may be centralized or distributed. In a ring technology, each bit propagates around on its own, not waiting for the rest of the packet to which it belongs. Example, ring-based LAN, FDDI. Broadcast networks can be divided into static and dynamic depending on how the channel is allocated. In static allocation, time is divided into discrete intervals. It uses round-robin algorithm so that each machine broadcasts only when its time slot comes up. This allocation wastes channel capacity when a machine has nothing to do during its allocated slot, so most systems attempt to allocate the channel dynamically, that is on demand. Dynamic allocation methods for a common channel are either centralized or decentralized. In centralized channel allocation method, there is a single entity, for example, bus arbitration unit, which determines who goes next. It might do this by accepting requests and making a decision according to some internal algorithm. In decentralized allocation method, there is no central entity. Each machine must decide for itself whether to transmit. Next one is metropolitan area networks, which we call it as the MAN. MAN covers a city. Example, cable television network available in cities. Suppose there are 20 houses in a street. All these 20 houses are connected to a junction box, and all junction boxes in that area is connected to head end, which in turn connected to antenna. Next we are going to see about the wide area networks, which is called as the WAN. WAN covers a large geographic area like country or continent. It consists of a collection of machines intended for running user programs. Each machine is called host. The hosts are connected by communication subnets or just subnets. Hosts are owned by customers. Communication subnets are owned and operated by a telephone company or internet service provider. The job of the subnet is to carry messages from host to host. In most WANs, subnet consists of two distinct components. They are transmission lines and switching elements. Transmission lines moves bits between machines. They can be made of copper wire, optical fiber or radio links. Switching elements are specialized computers that connect three or more transmission lines. When data arrive on an incoming line, the switching element must choose an outgoing line on which to forward them. This switching element is called router. Next, we are going to see about store and forward or packet switched subnet. In most WANs, the network contains numerous transmission lines, each one connecting a pair of routers. If two routers that do not share a transmission line wish to communicate, they must do this indirectly using routers. When a packet is sent from one router to another through one or more intermediate routers, either the packet is received at each intermediate router or it is stored there until the required output line is free and then forwarded. A subnet organized according to this principle is called store and forward or packet switched subnet. Example for store and forward or packet switched subnet is as follows. When a process on some host has a message to be sent to a process on some other host, the sending host first cuts the message into packets, each one bearing its number in the sequence. These packets are then injected into the network. The packets are transported individually over the network and deposited at the receiving host, where they are reassembled into the original message and delivered to the receiving process. When a packet arrives at router A, it is up to A to decide if this packet should be sent on the line to B or on the line to C. How A makes that decision is called routing algorithm. Then we are going to see about the wireless networks. There are three main categories of these: system interconnection, wireless LANs and wireless WANs. System interconnection is all about interconnecting the components of a computer using short range radio. Almost every computer has a monitor, keyboard, mouse, printer connected to the main unit by cables. Many users find it difficult for connecting all the cables. Some vendors send their technicians to do it, who may do this by using Bluetooth. System interconnection networks uses master-slave concept. The system unit is normally the master, talking to the mouse, keyboard, etc. as slaves. Master tells the slave what addresses to use, when they can broadcast, how long they can transmit, what frequencies they can use. Every computer has a radio modem and antenna with which it can communicate with other systems. Often there is an antenna on the ceiling that the machines talk to. However, if the systems are close enough, they can communicate directly with one another in a P2P configuration. Wireless LANs are increasingly common in small offices, cafeterias and conference rooms. There is a standard for wireless LANs called IEEE 802.11. The radio network used for cellular telephones is an example. This system has gone through three generations. First generation was analog and voice only. Second generation was digital and voice only. Third generation was digital and was both voice and data. Next we are going to see about the home networks. In future, most homes will be set up for networking. Every device in the home will be capable of communicating with every other device, and all of them will be accessible over the internet. Many devices are capable of being networked. Computers, desktop PC, notebook PC, PDA, shared peripherals, and in entertainment, TV, DVD, VCR, camera, stereo, MP3, etc. Telecommunications, telephone, mobile phone, intercom and fax. And in appliances, microwave, refrigerators, clock, furnace, lights. In telemetry, smoke, burglar alarm, baby cam. Many homes already have a device to connect multiple computers to fast internet connection. Properties of home networks. Network devices should be easy to install. Installing network and devices may have the following cumbersome process: reading the manual, reboot the computer, remove all hardware and software, download newest driver from website, reformat the hard disk and reinstall Windows from CD-ROM. Second one, network and devices should work properly in operation. Air conditioners used to have one knob with 4 settings: off, low, medium and high. Third one, network and devices, low price is essential. People don't like to pay much cost for devices and networks. Fourth one, main application is likely to involve multimedia, so the network needs sufficient capacity. Fifth one, it must be possible to start out with 1 or 2 devices and expand the reach of the network gradually. Telling customers to buy peripherals and interfaces, and after few years telling the customers again to buy other peripherals and interfaces is cumbersome. Peripherals and interfaces should remain stable for many years. Sixth one, security and reliability is important. Files may be lost due to virus infection. Next we are going to see about the reference models. Open System Interconnection Reference Models, that is called as OSI reference model. Based on proposal developed by International Standards Organization ISO as a first step toward international standardization of the protocols used in various layers. It was revised in 1995. It deals with connecting open systems, that is, systems that are open for communication with other systems. OSI reference model layers. Following are the OSI reference model layers: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer and application layer. OSI model has 7 layers. The principles that were applied to arrive at 7 layers are summarized as follows. A layer should be created where a different abstraction is needed. Each layer should be created with a well-defined function. The layer is created in such a way that we minimize the information flow across the interface. The layer is created based on international standardized protocols. The layer should be created in such a way that distinct functions are not thrown together in the same layer. OSI reference model, physical layer. It is concerned with transmitting raw bits over a communication channel. The design issues always make sure that when one side sends 1 bit, it should be received on other end as 1 bit only and not as 0 bit. How many volts required to represent 1 bit? How many nanoseconds a bit lasts? Whether the communication is in single direction or both directions? How many pins are present in the network and what is the role of each pins? OSI reference model, data link layer. This transforms a new transmission facility into a line without transmission errors to the network layer. This is accomplished by the sender by breaking up the input data into data frames and transmit the frames sequentially. If the service is reliable, the receiver confirms the correct receipt of each frame by sending back an acknowledgement frame. Traffic flow regulation system is needed by the transmitter. That is, if the sender transmits more data and the receiver receives data slowly, then how the flow can be regulated should be shown by transmitter. OSI reference model, network layer. This controls the operation of the subnet. A key design issue is determining how packets are routed from source to destination. Routes can be based on static tables that are wired into the network and rarely changed. Routing can also be determined at the start of each conversation. If too many packets are present in the subnet at the same line, they may cross each other. The control of such congestion also belongs to the network layer. Quality of service provider like delay, transmit, jitter is also a network layer issue. When a packet travels from one network to another network to get its destination, many problems can arise. That is, the addressing used by second network may be different from the first network. The second network may not accept the packet at all because it is too large. The protocols may differ. Network layer is responsible for the problems associated with interconnected heterogeneous networks. OSI reference model, transport layer. Basic function of this layer is to accept data from the above layers, split up into smaller units and pass these to other layers and ensure that the pieces all arrive correctly at the other end. This layer determines what type of service to provide to the session layer and ultimately to the users of the network. The most popular type of transport connection is an error-free point-to-point channel that delivers messages or bytes in the order in which they are sent. Other possible kinds of transport services includes transporting of isolated messages with no guarantee about the order of delivery, broadcasting of messages to multiple destinations. Transport layer is a true end-to-end layer from the source to destination. A program on the source machine carries on a conversation with a similar program on the destination machine using the message headers and control messages. OSI reference model session layer. This layer allows users on different machines to establish sessions between them. Session offers various services including dialogue control, that is keeping track of whose turn it is to transmit. Token management, that is preventing two parties from attempting the same critical operation at the same time. Synchronization, that is checkpointing long transmissions to allow them to continue from where they were after crash. It is on OSI reference model presentation layer. This layer is concerned with the syntax and semantics of the information transmitted. When two computers with different data representations communicate, the data structures to be exchanged can be defined along with the standard encoding to be used on the wire. OSI reference model application layer. It consists of variety of protocols that are commonly needed by the users. One widely used application protocol is HTTP, which is the basis for www. When a browser wants a web page, it sends the name of the page it wants to the server using HTTP. OSI reference model application layer. The server then sends the page back. Other application protocols are used for file transfer, electronic mail and network news. TCP/IP reference model. It consists of connected hundreds of universities and government installations using leased telephone lines. When satellites and radio networks were added later, the existing protocols had trouble internetworking with them, so TCP/IP reference model were proposed. Ability to connect multiple networks. It was first defined by Cerf and Kahn in 1974. Later perspective was given by Lehner et al. 1985. Design philosophy was discussed by Clark in 1958. The layers of TCP/IP reference model are Internet layer, transport layer, application layer, host to network layer. First one, TCP/IP Internet layer. This permits hosts to inject packets into any network and have them travel independently to the destination. Packets may even arrive in a different order than they were sent, in which case it is the job of higher layers to rearrange them if in-order delivery is desired. This layer defines an official packet format and protocol called Internet Protocol. This layer is responsible for delivering packets where they are supposed to go. TCP/IP transport layer. It is designed to allow peer entities on the source and destination host to carry on a conversation. End-to-end transport protocols are defined here. TCP Transmission Control Protocol, UDP User Datagram Protocol. TCP Transmission Control Protocol. It is a reliable connection-oriented protocol that allows a byte stream originating on one machine to be delivered without error on any other machine in the internet. It fragments the incoming byte stream into discrete messages and passes each on to the internet layer. At the destination, the receiving TCP process reassembles the received messages into the output stream. UDP User Datagram Protocol. It is an unreliable connectionless protocol for applications that do not want TCP sequencing or flow control and wish to provide their own. It is also widely used for one-shot, client-server type requesting reply queries and applications in which prompt delivery is more important than accurate delivery, such as transmitting speech or video. It is also widely used for one-shot, client-server type requesting reply queries and applications in which prompt delivery is more important than accurate delivery, such as transmitting speech or video. TCP/IP application layer. On top of transport layer is the application layer. It contains all higher level protocols, which includes virtual terminal or telnet. This allows a user on one machine log on to a distant machine and work there. File transfer protocol FTP. This provides a way to move data efficiently from one machine to another. Electronic mail. SMTP, just a kind of file transfer. So thus we have seen about the computer networks, the network hardware, and the reference models, OSI reference models and TCP/IP reference models, which consists of several layers.